Okay, let's see what we've got going on today in Over... Jeff, you can't keep doing this to me, man. I mean, how am I supposed to do a fun video when you're providing updates as we speak? You ever have one of those moments where you're just sitting around, looking to do content, have something fun, take it easy for once, and then suddenly a big major update comes and almost threatens to ruin your day? Well, don't worry, because I've got some ideas for that. Ahoy, Buccaneers and Buccarinas! My name is Capt and Ogistone, and welcome back. And before I get right into the video, just want to make a quick reminder that if you like what you see, whether that's Overwatch or Hearthstone or Yugioh, just like the video, feel free to talk about it in the comments down below, and hey, subscribe to the channel so that way you can, you know, watch more vids, whatever it may be. So that's just my little quick reminder for you guys. Now, when I'm basically busy just ignoring Overwatch updates that change the size of certain characters, especially around the waist area. Too much apple pie, you know what I'm saying? It's a pretty good looking pie though, I'm not gonna lie. It's I can't blame him. Can't blame him for eating the apple pie. But when I'm not too busy just doing other things, whether it be Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, I usually like to go into Overwatch and not deal with quick play or not deal with competitive, but go into the game browser. Probably the best thing to come to the game since, I don't know, when was the last big thing that came to the game, you know? Prior to Workshop. I mean, obviously Roll Q came to the game, but you know what, that's not important. Basically, with the game browser, now you're able to create these different custom game modes, and once they gave us the workshop, people just went all kinds of crazy with it. So I wanted to talk about 5 game modes that I basically like to play, like to enjoy playing, and take a good portion of my Overwatch playtime into. So here's my list. It's in no particular order, but I figured I would just cover them as I cover them. First thing on the list I wanted to talk about is F to upgrade. Everybody who pretty much has played with the workshop mode knows very well about F to upgrade. It's pretty much just the first time people tried to implement RPG elements into Overwatch, and it's okay, you know. It gets to be pretty crazy when you can ramp up the damage and the health and the healing, and you get all your abilities and all that. You know, it gets pretty crazy and like. But what really makes F to upgrade really cool though is when people started working on the Quest version, which is my pick for one of the game modes you ought to try out in the game browser. If you're a fan of MMORPGs, then this is definitely something for you. But even if you don't like doing RPG stuff so much, this is a pretty close representation of what an actual RPG in Overwatch could be like. Basically, there's a little central area where you can choose to upgrade stuff, change out your hero, put money away in a bank, etc., etc. It's all based on this money system, which is pretty much the easiest way to do this is to complete quests. And the quests start out pretty small, right? Like, they're usually stuff like go to the gold mine and harvest some gold, or inflict a lot of damage, or stay outside the town for a set amount of time without taking any damage. There's a lot of little stuff like that around and about. There's some that are like kill other players, but that gets to be really tricky after a while, especially when you're having to deal with people with a bajillion health that when you attack them with your 50 hit, you know, damage bullets, does like nothing. Not even just because they have like a bunch of health, it's also because like they literally, there's just, you literally cannot do any damage to them. That's how much damage defense they have or something like that. But it's a really cool variant off of the F to upgrade model, because now you're not having to just roam around the map all free willy. Now you get like a little bit of a purpose with these quests, and every time you complete a quest you get some gold, which you can use to upgrade things, and then you just go back and get more quest stuff, and it's really cool. I think that I really like the fact that there are implemented like locations as well. Like the gold mine I mentioned earlier is one. There's the blood well where you can sacrifice life for money, and then there's the altar which can bump up all of your stats every time you spend gold over there. So it's all pretty neat, and there are some versions of it where there's like special random events, like there may be more gold at the mine that you can mine out of the mine, or there may be a special present that you have to get to, or if you get to the altar first you can get an increase in stat boosts. So it's pretty fun. You might have a little problem if you've got like one guy on the server who's just like super powered at this point and just is like killing you, and it makes it really difficult to play the game, and that's really rough. But outside of that, outside of, you know, a couple of jerks, a couple of a-holes, yeah, you get around to it, so it's all good and dandy in that regard. My next pick is actually going to be one of the ones that you can play while you're browsing for a game. There's a lot of these kinds of like different game modes that are now available to people for when you're waiting in a queue line and the like, and my personal favorite out of the ones that basically work out in this regard is probably Tiny Overwatch. It's basically like, think of a regular Overwatch match, but then you just, instead of a giant sprawling map with an objective, you're just thrown into a single room, and everybody has instant ults. Like that's just how it is. Like it's a crazy fun time, honestly. Like it's basically like the biggest parts of Overwatch condensed into like a tiny space, and it can be a lot of fun. You get like Earth Shatters and Wrecking Ball mines, and you get EMPs, you get gravity fluxes, you get coalescence, you get transcend, you know, you get all this crazy stuff, dead eyes and junk tires, lots of fun things, just crazy stuff that just like immediately kills you, and then you just randomly cycle into the next hero and the next hero and the next hero. It's just sheer chaotic fun, and there's nothing really, you know, in depth. There's not like a lot of depth going on in it. It's just like you play it because you're just killing time while you're waiting around for a game most of the time. That's where I think it has, like, that's where I think it shines the most. It's just when you're waiting on, you know, queuing up into something, you just play Tiny Overwatch, and it's just a nice little mindless brain teaser. Now, there are game modes that do help you out in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of, like, aim practice modes. There's stuff like the Doomfist fighting sort of thing. There's Widowmaker headshot mode. There's the Reinhardt wrestling, there's the Diva races, the Wrecking Ball races. There's all these things that feature one particular character most of the time. But the character that I actually like to play as when it comes to one of these game modes is actually the Genji Dash game mode. Basically, it's dash. You hit shift as Genji and you kill other Genjis. That is it. That is the entirety of the mode right there. You're just slicing through people, just, you know? Like the new dance craze. Basically, you're just having a lot of fun just dashing around into people, and you get occasionally your ultimate. You can get your ultimate in like one single swipe, but the real key of like just playing around with Genji Dash is actually chain dashing, because whenever Genji kills a target with anything, whether that's like a deflect, whether it's his dash, whether it's his shuriken, whether he's helping somebody else kill somebody, his dash resets. So you can basically, in this mode, you can dash, and then you can dash, and then you can dash, and you can do all sorts of weird, crazy zigzag where you're chain killing off of various Genjis, and that's where it gets to be really fun. Obviously, you're never gonna be, the whole point isn't really to, like, survive, because you are not going to survive, but you can kill a lot of Genjis pretty quickly, so it's a lot of fun in that regard. Now, the next game mode is a little bit kind of like the F to upgrade sort of thing, where there's stats involved, and it's got like a little bit of RPG mechanics, but it's also a PvE mode, and there have been a couple of variants that I've seen of this game mode in particular, but most people will recognize it as zombies, which is not Junkenstein's Revenge Zomnix, or like the Archives event where it's like goons kind of show up. No, this is just like, yeah, a lot of people will compare this to Call of Duty Zombies, which is basically just like an endless wave of different characters comes after you. Usually there's like, it's on Eichenwald and Halloween, and it's usually Reinhardt and Brigida's. But I've also seen one that takes place on Horizon Lunar Colony with a bunch of Winstons. So little things like that kind of just mess around with you. So it's really fun. Basically you get access to maybe like a couple of heroes at the start. and you're able to kill off the zombies pretty easily. And as the game progresses, you'll be able to do more damage, get more abilities, get more access to more locations of the map, get access to more heroes, but the strong zombies will also become progressively stronger as well. So the idea is just you're basically kind of slowly stacking up on damage and healing and all this stuff to eventually survive as many waves of zombies as you possibly can. And that's a lot of fun, because it's like you start off with, like, I think it's like in some game modes it's usually Ana is usually the one, because she can't headshot, but she can heal, and she's got the nade, and she's got the sleep, and she's got like some resources to help you survive in the early game. But then later on you can get characters like Moira, Symmetra, Reaper, just complete destroyers in this regard. So it's pretty neat. So there's a lot of fun to be had in the zombies version of the game. And then the last game mode I want to talk about is actually one that's still technically in development. There's a little bit of I think there's a Discord for it as well, but it's Rise of the Superbots, which is kind of the closest thing you get to an actual game of Overwatch in the game browser without actually just making it a game of Overwatch. Because of course, being in the game browser as a workshop mode, there are some crazy things you get to do. So basically, you are fighting off a specific team of enemy characters, enemy AI, and it's always the same 6, because that's just how the script works. It's the only way the script actually works, apparently, is my understanding. So you can't really, like, face off against different teams. But these teams have been, like, super powered. Like, Yugioh is one of the ones on the team, and he's just, like, lightning fast. He is ridiculously fast. He just goes choo, 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 all over the map. And then you've got Zarya and Roadhog and Torbjorn, and I think it's not Junkrat, is it? No, it's Reaper. It's Reaper. So you basically get to fight off against all 6 of these guys. I think it's also, who's the healer of that team? I need to remember the healer of that team. Basically, it's a normal 2-2-2 stack on the enemy team, but you basically can pick any characters you want, and you get to fight them. And all the heroes have been revamped in, like, different ways. Like, you get, Sigma has, instead of his barrier, he's got, like, a push ability that shoves enemies off to the side. It acts almost like a Doomfist punch. Soldier is able to, when he ults, actually do, like, an airstrike from, like, way up high. When Wrecking Ball uses his ultimate, he actually comes crashing down from, like, orbit, practically. It's pretty crazy stuff. There's a lot of, like, cool little different things that come up. Probably the most overpowered one right now, in my modest opinion, is the Moira ult, where she just kind of, like, just beams, shoots the coalescence, like, right into a particular spot, and it just creates this giant, ever-growing sphere that continuously expands to be bigger and bigger, and everybody gets healed in it, and every enemy gets damaged in it, and it gets to be, like, ridiculously crazy. And the damage, of course, scales, your health scales, everything scales up as you continue throughout the match, and the enemies will get harder, you'll get stronger. It's got a lot of tweaking and balance and such, but the payloads will move faster, the control points will be taken over quickly by the enemy, so it's pretty neat. It's really, honestly, it's a pretty cool game mode, and I would definitely suggest trying it out, helping the people create that. So, that's my list of game modes. I don't have a whole lot to say about the update from the other day. You know, Sigma nerfs, Baptiste nerfs, Thickery. I don't have a whole lot to say about it otherwise, so there you go. Just enjoy those modes. You want to take a breather from quick play or competitive, or if you want to take a break from Overwatch in general, just, you know, hit me up, right? You know, hit me on the Hearthstone, the Yugioh, right?